Can Oblique Seville return Jamaica to men's sprint glory? Since we are now living in the post-Usain Bolt era, the Jamaican male sprinters do not seem to be performing on the international stage the way they normally would. However, in young Oblique Seville, we think we see a spark, someone who may, in the near future, change this pattern. Like many Jamaicans, the last time I saw young Oblique Seville run live and in person was at the ISA Boys and Girls Championships in 2019, where he won the men's 100 meters in a time of 10.13, just outside the record, which was 10.12. Impressive as always, the young Calabar athlete, who was always a thorn in the side of Kingston College. Yes, people, I went to Kingston College. Executed an impeccable race. In 2020, at the Isaac Henry Invitational in the 200 meters, we saw young Seville speak to another one of his strengths, winning in a time of 21.06 seconds, which was most impressive, and I think running an even better race than he did in the 100 meters. In 2019, Seville had won the under 20 men's 100 meters with a time of 10.25 at the Carifta Games in a most impressive fashion. So I've seen a consistent and steady rise in this young man's strength prowess, let's say. And of course, like many young athletes, he does have a few flaws. He does have a few issues that I think will have to be corrected. But his times have been relatively consistent, and I have seen him constantly growing and changing. Here at the National Olympic Trials, he wins his heats rather easily in a time of 10.14. Seville, I think, has always impressed and has shown tremendous promise and prowess. The 20-year-old, who is a part of the world-famous Racers Track Club and who is managed by the brilliant Glenn Mills, has been consistent in his rise, and his times have been somewhere between 10.1 to 10.14. Now, I know many of you are going to say to me, Peter, for him to compete on a world stage, he needs to break that 10 barrier. And I understand that, and in fact, I won't even argue with that. I respect that. But I've said repeatedly in my vlogs that winning on the world stage, becoming great, is not just about speed. Speed, yes, is extremely important, but showing up on the big occasions, being able to manage yourself throughout rounds, and having the mental fortitude to stand against giants. Those are components that one must have to be able to, how would I put it, to be able to advance in this highly competitive sprint environment. And Oblique Seville, in my humble estimation, has repeatedly demonstrated his capacity to do all of these things. With a personal best of 10.04 in the 100 meters and 21.03 in the 200 meters, to me, he has demonstrated that he definitely has the speed for a 20-year-old. And having shown up in our presence at Champs, at the Carifta Games, and at the national trials earlier this year, clearly Oblique has the mental fortitude to stand up amongst giants. Also, with a coach like Glenn Mills, let's face it, Glenn Mills is a renowned genius who himself believes that Oblique is going to be great. Says a lot to me. In fact, Glenn Mills stated about his making it through to the Olympics. Mills stated that Oblique Seville is a fierce competitor who would do us proud at the Olympics, which, by the way, is exactly what Oblique Seville did. Running in his first Olympics, young Seville made it through to the men's 100 meters semi-finals in the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. An impressive task, considering. And although he only ran 10.09, I still think it says a lot that he was able to get that far in what was an otherwise chaotic and unpredictable men's 100 meters. So I think he definitely shows the mental fortitude, the right attitude. I think he has the technique. He needs improvement, of course. And he simply needs to break that, do that sub 10 that we're all waiting on and expecting. And I think that he will be able to do this. Of course, there's some of you are going to say, Peter, no matter what you're saying, at the end of the day, if he can't run sub 10, he's simply too slow. But need I remind you that when the great Usain Bolt went to the Olympics in 2004, he didn't even make it past the heats in his 200 meters. So do I think young Oblique Seville, who came third in our national finals, running against people like Taekwondo Tracy and of course Johan Blake, who made it as far as the semi-finals in the Olympics, can help to reignite the spark of sprint greatness amongst our men? I think, in my humble opinion, the answer is unequivocally yes. He has all the right factors: strength, speed, mental fortitude, right camp, right coach. He just needs a little more time. Just a little more time. I'd love to know what you think. And as always, bless up!